Welcome to Footy Kicking Good. I'm Jamie Marias, back again for another week with Michael Flynn and Christopher Padgies. Boys, look, all our teams won on the weekend. So how many times do you think that's going to happen this season?
That's the only one.
Yeah, pretty much. And mixed teams not looking too good either. So the chances of all four are even less.
Slimmer. We you know what? We'll get to our multi segment a bit later, but that's not a bad multi to figure out which round that might possibly happen in. Padgy, how are you feeling with the Tigers getting up? Because we're going to get into Carlton in a little bit, but I mean, a little bit out of nowhere. Are you a little bit optimistic about what the Tigers can do this year?
No, look, it doesn't change my opinion of where we're at. I think that it just shows that we've done a really good job of some of the recruiting over the last couple of years, but I think the biggest upside was just the pain that we inflicted on Carlton. That was just like as one of my cousin, he said to me, he goes, I don't care if we win one game this year as long as we beat Carlton. That was like, and yeah, I just think it. I do feel a bit of empathy for them because I've been at that game at Richmond Carlton at the start of the year and watched our season's hopes go up in flames. Like, I don't know, it was a bit of a while ago now, but there was a game where we were supposed to be a good team that season. We got Ben Cousins and he tore his hammy and we lost by 80 points and our season went up. It just exploded in one go. So.
What's it called? One thing I want to mention with the opener, I guess everybody was, loved the game, obviously, to see the big upset. In terms of, obviously, opening round, I know we've harped on about that quite a bit, but I feel like there was something different about Richmond Carlton. I feel like it kind of matters what teams are playing in that opening slot in terms of the excitement, because I feel like whether you go for one of those two teams, Richmond or Carlton or not, you have a love or hate relationship with them, and that makes it a little bit more spicier to open up the season. It's like you're kind of invested without going in. I feel like a few teams have that, like Collingwood's probably another one. Do you guys agree with that sentiment, I guess?
I think that the first game of the year should be played at the MCG. And one of the discussions last week was, if they could play 2 games in each state, that would be great. But they should still start the week with Richmond Carlton at the MCG. And I know that it's obviously my team, so I would appear to be biased in this, but I think that the MCG is just such a great place to start the season. I just think that I think Melbourne can feel it. I think it's all, you can sort of feel the it's just in the air. It's electric. You can sort of feel it. Everyone's on the way into the game. And yeah, you always draw a big crowd. I think the first game should always be in front of a big crowd.
Flynn, do you have any sentiments on it?
Not really. Basically, Chris, said my thoughts on it. But yeah, I mean, look, we're pretty blessed as like Victorians with what we get. I mean, the grand finals here every year. It's probably one of the few sports where it stays at one ground every year, the final. But this round of footy was a cracking round, and I just felt like it would have been even bigger if there was no footy last weekend.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
I also look, if they're just in fairness to the rest of the states, if you were gonna have a game to start, here's the thing. That other discussion was that we play 2 games in each state, but I don't think that you're never going to get a big crowd at any of those games because it's going to be one team. So I think that like a derby would be a great way to start the season if they were going to go into state like that. But you need a big crowd, so that's the kind of crowd that you'd want. So.
No, spot on. There's been a couple of examples of what we can do, and I feel like, to be honest with you, all of them are better than what the AFL's dished out probably the last 2 years. Flinny?
Yeah, and also I just wanted to mention I was one of the few people that actually got around Richmond going into this season. I was a true believer in Richmond, and I just wanted to put that on the record.
What was his controversial take again, Patchy?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he said that Richmond wouldn't win a game. And I feel like we should go to a vote and see if we can kick him out of the podcast.
Yeah, look, that's going to come up. That's going to come up a few times, I think, this year, Flinny.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, some of my other predictions are absolutely on fire, I did have Larky winning the Coleman, so
All right.
he's off to a good start. So I'm pretty bullish. I did have Crows making the finals, so
Okay.
I feel like I'm clawing my way back after that shocking Richmond call.
You also had Fremantle winning the grand final, right?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Hey, it's a long season. Just give him time.
All right, boys. Let's move on to the topic at hand, and we're going to talk about all things Carlton, because after Thursday night, all of us were in the chat and we were all waiting for our moment to, I guess, talk about Carlton. What's gone wrong? What are the issues? What do we need to dissect here? I'm gonna go first because I've got a lot on my plate, and I'm gonna start off with this statement, and I think Michael Voss is the worst coach in the league at the moment. Do you boys agree or disagree?
He's on the podium.
He's on the podium?
Yeah.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I think he's already. This is his second go, so it's not his first go. It's his second go, and he didn't do very well the first time. So
the way that I look at a coach's ability is, I guess, the coach with the most talent that has achieved the least. And I think a lot of people have spoken about how talented Carlton's top end is. Obviously, Cripps smashed the record for Brownlow votes last year, and they've got the two Coleman medalists in their forward line. It's pretty baffling to think that they've only won 2 finals in that whole. Like, Cripps is a generational player, and he's won 2 finals in his career. Like, they've really underachieved with what they have, and I mean, when that happens, you kind of point the finger at the coach.
Yeah. Before you think that this is like a statement I'm making just based off one game, I think this has been about 2 years in the making for me, because I've been watching Voss closely for the last 2 years, and I've had higher expectations with the Blues list and where it's at. Look, honestly, like, I thought he lost more games at the selection table last year than probably any coach in the history of a season in the AFL. TDK playing as a sub heading into that Brisbane final was a blunder. Doherty playing as a sub on the weekend. The only reason I could think of Doherty playing as a sub would just be to avoid another ACL. And if the reason was anything other than that, it's probably ridiculous. The other thing I noticed was, like, every time you put the camera on him and he's in the box, he's just sitting there doing nothing. He's not talking. He's not on the phone. He's literally not doing anything. And I'm convinced he just has no idea what to do when he's in the box in the first place.
Jamie,
oh, sorry.
That's called aura.
Aura. Oh, sorry. That's what that means. Okay, now makes a lot of sense. But look, honestly, his body language as well. Like at 3/4 time, I was like, this guy looks defeated. He's supposed to be like, you're still in the game. Like, why aren't you getting around the troops? But he just looked more defeated than any player as well.
Just to go back on what you said before, Jamie, with his selection, I had some thoughts over that, and so there were a couple of blunders on the Thursday night, but I thought Cooper Lord was like going really well on Thursday. He looked like one of the few guys out there that was trying really hard. Got subbed out of the game. I didn't understand that, and it seemed like it was a tactical sub, so that was a baffling one for me. And the other one was Francis Evans being picked to play despite them picking him up a couple of weeks ago as an SSP. Like, that, the fact that you're picking a guy that early, I found that a bit baffling. I thought a guy like Ashton Moyer would probably come into the fold over a person like that.
Yeah, and on top of that, like, with Evans coming in, I would assume that he would have been a better person to sub off than Cooper Lord.
Yeah, that just didn't make a lot of sense to me. They seem to be playing around, tinkering with things, but they're not really working. I didn't think the Silvani down back move worked. I think he's more of a forward. And I mean, even McGovern as even Brody Kemp as a forward played all right in the first quarter, but I think he's probably a defender as well. I just don't know what the end game is there.
I think that they might have even I think that they might have even played the sub back to front. I think that, Doherty starting the game would have been a good thing for them because he would have helped them. He's got a lot of, he's a spiritual leader of the club. And I think Cooper Lord would have been better coming on in the second half and increasing their speed. But instead they had a guy come on that's, one of their oldest players. So that didn't really help them out in the long run.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, with going back to Voss again, like I just don't think he's got a game plan. Like he just did not know like he can move a couple of magnets around, but like there's no game plan for the Blues. There's nothing he can make. He can make adjustments at one quarter, at quarter time, half time, 3/4 time. I mean, I just don't know what his role is really in this side, to be honest with you, because I just don't see him actually coaching out there.
Yeah, and Carlton fans will agree with this statement from me, but over the last few years, especially under Voss, when a team has momentum against them, they just fold. They cannot handle pressure from Richmond are a team of extremely inexperienced youngsters, and they put Carlton under a little bit of pressure in that sort of the end of the second quarter, start of the third quarter, and they just couldn't handle it. Like, where are the leaders?
Yeah, 100%. You know what I was thinking as well today, and it's probably competition wide, but obviously I'm a Hawks man, so I used to watch like Sam Mitchell and Luke Hodge be like these on-field kind of coaches, and I feel like I don't see too many, even captains in the league nowadays, just being the kind of guys who are using their voices out there and actually pointing to guys and telling them where to go. Do you guys see that from any team or any captains, I guess, in the league?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's still some, but it's definitely becoming less frequent. I don't think that necessarily the players, especially with the interchange caps, I think the players are wrecked, and I don't think they've got any time to worry about what anyone else is doing. And if they did, I don't know whether or not they've got the voice to yell out across the ground.
I think the last one that we saw was probably Pendles in 2023. Like in that, especially in that grand final, the way he marshalled the troops was sort of that Luke Hodge-esque type. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Jamie. I think there's less of it these days.
So a quick one, guys, before we wrap this up. Carlton, obviously it's one game, and we know one game can sometimes be blown out of proportion. I mean, Sydney lost to Richmond last year and made a grand final. Do you think this is a blown out proportion kind of game for Carlton? Do you think they're going to bounce back, or do you think it is a pretty dark time, I guess, for Carlton? Are they going to struggle now with this start part of the season?
No, you can't afford to lose a game like that. Like, I just think that those are the games that you pencil in. I think most teams are going to be looking at their games against Richmond this year and going, all right, that's one or that's two games there that we'll bank. And the problem is Carlton go from, everyone was speaking about, they get to start the season on a high and, get a bit of momentum going. Now they've gone from losing to the Wooden Spooners to playing the Hawks next week, who are absolutely on fire. It's just to me, I think it's going to end up costing them finals this year.
I think the other thing as well, I know that this isn't. We all know that this is going to be the case for the next couple of years while we've got these opening rounds and everything. But Hawthorn and GWS already have 2 wins, so it's even though it's for your morale, if you're going into the next round, you're already 2 games behind. Like you can't even catch them. You've played 1 game, you're already 2 games behind some of your competitors for the finals.
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah, it's wild how the season starts off with this opening round. How you got some teams playing 2 games before other teams even play 1. But look, knowing the amount of criticism we've just thrown at Carlton, I'm sure they're gonna go on Thursday night and upset my boys now after we've just given them a big rile up. You never know what's going to happen, I guess. For Carlton fans' sake, I hope there is some positive. I think they're going to still win games this year. They've got a pretty cushiony draw as well. But finals might be the big question mark. Padgie?
I think as well, just to mention, I know that this is one of those ones that we all sort of heard about it, but just to have that the membership day on SEN on Friday, the day after the game, and then cancel it, I think that they really, really pissed off their fans. And, at the end of the day, their fans are the one sort of like saving grace they've had over the years, because they still come to games even when they're not performing. But yeah, if they get all their fans offside immediately, they're just going to be putting pressure on Voss the whole year. It's just not going to work well for them.
It's also a fan base just starved off premiership success. So I mean, they're desperate for it, and you can kind of see it in their personalities. They wear their heart on their sleeves. There's a lot of blue baggers out there, and I'm sure if they can raise the cup up, a lot of them will come out of the woodwork as well. But it's a wait and watch. Let's see what they pull out against Hawthorn, because I think they've got to be competitive to save any face with the fans on Thursday night next week. Boys, let's move over to what did we learn after round one. There's a lot of topics. We've seen every team play now, which is absolutely beautiful. But I don't know who to throw it out to. I might actually throw it out to Flinny first.
Righto. Well, what I learned was that the crop of draftees coming through are coming into the AFL and having an immediate impact. So we saw how hard Carlton went to get Jagger Smith in the off-season, and it raised a couple of eyebrows, but honestly, like, people think of the draft as a thing to sort of, build for the future. Carlton were picking Jagger Smith to have an impact this year. Like, we've seen through already multiple games in the start of the season, guys can come in their first game and just hit the ground running. Like, there's no like, lull. So I just wanted to point out a couple names for you guys. So Thursday night, we saw Sam Lawler, Luke Traynor, Lucas Campriali, Friday Kako, Saturday Murphy Reed, and today Xavier Lindsay. I think the crop of draftees from 2024 just look like they're going to be some absolute stars.
I think you left out Ashcroft as well.
Sorry, that's. I probably should have mentioned him as well. I did go through all the games and try and work out who were the good youngsters, but
probably a few left off there, to be honest. But there's quite a lot of them, and obviously it was touted as a super draft beforehand, and I feel like it's going to live up to its name. I couldn't see it not living up to its name. Richmond obviously got a bulk of them that still have yet to play, so. Look, it's a good sign. It's the reason why so many teams were so hesitant to trade their draft picks out, because I think North Melbourne, after their first pick, offered every single pick after them, their first round and next year, basically, for their pick, and no one would take it. That's how highly touted it was.
But, as well as the fact that next year's draft seems to be pretty compromised. There's tons of academy and father sons next year, so I think a lot of people wanted to get into this year's draft, last year's.
I think they're saying like 40% of the next draft is going to be academy picks and NGAs and father sons, so it's going to be slim pickings.
Also, I'm aware of this because of a guy that I work with that is in that world, but there's a lot of recruitment in the AFL, a lot of recruiters, head recruiters and things that have flown all over the place. So there's going to be like very new recruitment teams going into the next draft. So, whether or not a lot of teams knew that was going to be the case, whether or not they knew that they had guys retiring and they were going to have a new team, maybe that would be something you'd want to try to, maybe that would have affected where they wanted to have their draft picks this year, the year just gone, as well as the year coming up. So
yeah,
I think they're going back to going to America to scout talent again. I read that somewhere.
The next Mason Cox, you think?
Yes, which obviously, well, I don't know if that's a positive, but yeah, we'll see.
All right, guys. I'm moving on to my my what did I learn for the weekend. And mine revolves around one player, and I think he's one team's saviour and one team's demise, and that's Dan Houston.
My boy.
Watching Dan Houston on the Pies, they look like a different side for last week. I feel like I don't feel like they've still filled that hole from Nathan Murphy leaving, but I feel like taking the ball, him being the distributor in the back line is freeing up like Darcy Moore. I feel like he's been prone for like, a couple of errant kicks and just to a couple of mistakes. And I feel like he's that guy who now can clean up all that mess and basically be that slingshot out of the back line. And on the flip side, Port Adelaide just look like they're a basket case back in their back line. With guys like Aaliyah and stuff, they're not guys you want to have the ball or to be, kicking and disposing of it. And he was the guy who would clean up and take those handballs on behind and kind of cover for those inadequacies, I guess, in the back line. And I feel like Port's, I can kind of see, I thought I was a bit more bullish on Port this year, and I can kind of see now what a hole Houston's left, I guess, in that back line.
Yeah, and it also sort of comes back to a fact that we've spoken about a lot with why Carlton didn't go for Houston. Like,
makes no sense.
When you look at their back line from Thursday, you're telling me that guy couldn't have like completely changed their setup. They just have a lack of, like, obviously Nick Newman's a good kick and he's out for the season, but they just have a lack of really good distributors. And God, it just makes a difference when you have a guy that can hit targets coming out of the back line.
Yeah, they'd be filthy, to be honest with you, watching Houston play. Padgy, you have any thoughts on the Houston acquisition?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's a few things that have really gone wrong for Port. They were just non-functional in their forward line, and that's probably not necessarily because of their forward line as much as it was that they just had the worst supply. Like, it was just, there was the shots they did get were not good shots. They were, I think they kicked something like 3 goals 7 after quarter time, which is just, that's like in 3 quarters of football. That's not even a competitive score, 25. And so, yeah, I just think that he slots straight into Collingwood's team perfectly, and that's what you were just saying. So, I don't know if one team's loss and another team's win.
Yeah, no, 100%. Basically sums it up right there. Look, I don't know about Port Adelaide heading into for the rest of the games this season. They looked a little bit out of sorts. The MCG against Collingwood is almost like kryptonite to them, though, so maybe let's not hold that against them. They've got, I think, your mob next week, Richmond, so see if they can bounce back.
Port, for whatever reason, and we saw it again last night, I think Collingwood kicked 10 goals in a row last night. The last 3 times they've played us there, the same thing's happened where we've ended up kicking like 8, 9, 10, whatever many goals in a row, and they just haven't been able to put a stop to it. But I do think this season, I mean, obviously we saw Collingwood lose by 50 last week and win by 91 yesterday. I think this season we're going to see more of those sort of one-off results where teams get absolutely belted and then, they hit some good form. Because I think it's a long season, and if you're just even a few % off, it's just like you can get absolutely blown off the park. I mean, like, at the end of the day, like Carlton were probably 10, 20% off their best the other night, and most expected them at their best to win by like 10 goals. So, like, it just shows what can happen when you're just a little bit off.
Yeah, especially with, like, it's a very much a pressure game now at the moment. So it's like a team's going to bring it. So it's a matter of if you don't match their pace and match their pressure, I guess, you're going to cop it on the other side, I guess, with turnovers and a lot of free kicks against your side, I guess. Let's hand over to Padgy. What did you learn this week?
It probably leads well from what Flynn was saying about what he was talking about with the scoring and everything. I was having a little bit of a look through some of the scores because we had 3 games this week that were 130, where a team scored above 130. So there was Adelaide with 135, Collingwood with 136, and then the Cats got 147. So I had a look into last year, and it took until round 5 last year to have 3 team scores above 130. So we've already done that in 1 round. And then I'll ask you how many, you can both take a stab at this. How many times last year did a team score above 130?
Twice.
I was going to say 4 times maybe.
I don't think you were listening too much.
Was it a lot?
No, I just said that it happened in round 5. There was 3 teams last year. Like, there were three teams by round 5. So last year there were only 20 occasions that a team scored above 130, and this year in 10 games we've already had it happen 3 times.
Yeah, look, I'm a little bit rattled because I thought you were going to be going with a different topic. And so when you started talking about the scores, that threw me a little bit. But
So just getting this back on track, what the point of this was, right, is that I think that it's not necessarily going to be a year for a bunch of guys to come back and have huge Coleman scores, but there's a lot of teams that have got 2 players or 3 players kicking multiple goals. There are a lot of cases of teams sort of getting, I think it was Thilthorpe and Fogarty kicked 7 goals between them. There were other teams that did the same thing.
Hey,
There were a lot of teams that had.
Talk about Triple M, please.
Yeah. There was is that Membry and Myercheck and McStay?
Yeah. Triple M rocks the Footy.
Yeah. So now that I think what I'm trying to get at is that I think that it's these multi-pronged forward lines that look like they're going to have more success this year because it's not all being fed into one player, and when one player is the main focus, then they're easier to keep out of a game. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out through the year. And if you do sort of look through the total goal scorers for the year, it's a really weird list of people this year in terms of it's not your normal names and it's a lot of mid-sized forwards. So it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out across the year and whether or not we're in for a higher total, higher scores this year.
Yeah.
You had me thinking about the Triple M down at Collingwood. What about Adelaide with Tex Walker, Thilthorpe, and Fogarty? Do you think we need a name for that trio? Can we come up with one by next week?
Thilthorpe, Fogarty, and who?
Thilthorpe, Fogarty, and Tex Walker.
Well, I mean, if you've been listening to me, Tex Walker's on the out. So, but no, I reckon we should come up with something that's just the thrill fog or something like that.
By the way, I just wanted to bring up a quick topic of discussion, which I thought Chris was going to bring it up, but it's now fallen onto me. What do you guys like? I want to get your thoughts on the Jackson Archer, Luke Cleary incident. So Chris and I are both in the camp of 3-week suspension being reasonable. Jamie, I think you're on the other side. Let's hear your rebuttal, Jamie.
I know. Let's hear I feel like you guys are the controversial ones thinking that's the right call. So let's hear why you think it's the right call.
You go, Chrissy.
All right. Look, there's a couple of things. One is that it's pretty understood that the AFL, it's now no longer they're not going to give people the benefit of the doubt for doing something that's reckless. So if you've put yourself in a position where you haven't done the safest thing possible and you've actually put yourself in a position where you might hurt someone, then you'll end up with repercussions for that. And I just think he's probably lucky that guy didn't get a fractured skull. Like, he kneed him straight in the middle of the face. He's gone in standing up at full height while the guy's falling down. And, you might say, like, what else was he supposed to do? But his teammate was there tackling the guy. He could have easily slowed down and just helped his teammate.
The thing is that I want to say is, like, I'm not necessarily in the same boat as Archer necessarily did anything wrong. But at the end of the day, guys get suspended for accidents now. And Luke Cleary was first to the ball. Archer was a split second later. But he was second to the ball and he's seriously injured someone. Like, I don't mind that being a suspension.
All right, look, I've slowed down the footage, all right? I've had a good look at it. Now, Cleary does get to the ball first. When the second he touches the ball, he's still on his feet. He's not being tackled. He's on his feet, but as soon as he does touch the ball, he goes to his knees, basically. And he's not being tackled in that motion. He's just kind of gone to his knees because he's reaching out for the ball. And Archer's running full pelt. And this is at a time in the game where North still think they can win it and they need to go hard. So he's going full pelt before he's even touched the ball. By the time he's gone to his knees and Archer's made contact with him, how much time do you think's happened there?
Oh, look, I'll agree with you that it would definitely be a split-second decision. That's not... Yeah. But I just think that what the AFL is expecting players to do these days, because I'm sure that you've seen them in the past where, a player goes to go for a spoil and at the last second they realize I'm going to end up like elbowing someone in the back of the head, so they pull out of the contest.
Yeah.
That's now the expectation is that, unfortunately, we like the AFL is just going to always prefer that players try to protect each other a little bit better than they used to.
Yeah. And if you do look at it, by the time Archer realizes that he's gone to his knees instead of picking up the ball while on his feet. He's tried to slow down, but that's, he's done everything he could possibly do in that moment to, avoid this incident, I guess, in a sense. But it's purely accidental. Like, he's going for the football. He's got every right to run for it.
That's the thing, Jamie. Like, you look at other suspensions, like I think Peter Wright copped one last year or the year before where he was going up for a mark and someone cut in front of him. He's still got like a 4-week suspension because he knocked the guy out. And it's like, well, it's harsh, but at the end of the day, like, you can understand there's a duty of care to protect players from getting
I understand that, but that incident's a bit different because he did brace for contact, so he went the side bump basically to protect himself. I still think it's too harsh on Jackson Archer. I think he's done nothing absolutely wrong. It's a football act. If anything, it's an unfortunate incident, but I don't think he deserves 3 weeks. Padge?
Yeah, look, I think the other thing to mention as well is if he hadn't gotten Cleary, he was gonna knee his teammate straight in the face anyway. Like he's got. What I'm saying is he's entered that contest. I know you said that he did try to slow down, but if there's two blokes running in the opposite direction to you, your job these days is not to run directly at them. Like it's not.
That's football. Running directly at them.
No, it can't. Look, I'll agree with you that I'll agree with you that you do want to try to get to the football, but at the same time, what the AFL would expect these days is if a guy's going to beat you to the ball, you need to be ready to tackle him. You can't go directly at them expecting to beat them to the ball because what they're going to say is that you didn't beat him to the ball and now someone's gotten knocked out. Maybe he could have really, really injured the guy, like, severely. It sounds like he hasn't, but he could have broken his neck.
Yeah, my argument, though, is that Archer didn't know, like, he had no way of knowing that contest was going to end up with a bloke on the ground basically fighting for the ball because he had his feet when he got to the ball. So for all he knows, he's got a player who's going to pick up the ball and he's going to tackle him. And the second he's seen him go down, he's tried to hold up and he's, it's too late. Basically, at that point, so I don't see there's anything.
Honestly, Jamie, I don't think Archer pulled out for a second. Like I don't think he slowed down.
I have slowed it down. He slowed down as much as he could, but you can definitely see. Yeah.
The thing is, Jamie,
you know what? You boys need to go rewatch it and slow it down. You haven't watched it properly then, because I've rewatched it meticulously, and he's done everything he could do.
Even if Luke Cleary had kept his feet, he's running into him 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Like, he was going to hurt someone anyway. He was going to hurt him. It just wouldn't have been as severe. Like, I actually think I said before any of this happened, I sent Flynn he sent me a slow-mo of it last night. And I said to him this morning, like, I've rewatched that. And honestly, like, Archer just can't run into a contest like that. Because, like, it's just a reckless action. And guys get done for reckless football now. That's the thing.
Look, I'll be curious to see if North Melbourne do fight it or if they think they do have a case. I have heard
they will.
With these kind of cases, it's very much a 3 weeks or it's nothing. So I guess that's just an aspect of how the tribunal is going to be working this year with some of these incidents.
That just shows how broken the system is. Like we saw it with Maynard. It's either like a lengthy ban or nothing. Like it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they let him off because I think that we will all agree that there was previously it was that, you could argue that you had no other option, things like that. I just think the AFL is going to very heavily try to get that out of the game. They won't have options for people to say there was no other option because they'll just, as far as they're concerned, they're just getting sued for concussion all the time now, and it's going to keep happening more and more. So they're going to keep going at people that cause concussions.
Yeah, it's just it's a blight for me that it seems to be more the result as opposed to the action. But that conversation's been had 1,000,000 times over. Let's move on to our sports bet multi of the week, and boys, I don't know if this segment's going to last. To be honest with you,
we're going broke.
Look, I'll read out the legs, and Flinny, I'm going to need some help. You tell me if they went over or not. Mm-hmm. So 4 legs. Mick went, and this is for the Richmond Carlton game, by the way. Mick went Harry Mackay to kick 2 goals.
Nah.
Didn't happen. Padgie had Paddy Cripps anytime goal.
Nope.
Flinny, you had Sam Walsh, 25 or more disposals.
Yeah, I think you got 25 on the dot, mate.
25 on the dot. And I had Adam Chera overs, 24.5 disposals.
I think you got 26. So Jamie and me just shoulders are getting sore from carrying these two other blokes.
That's not true, because last week I was the only one that got it. So it means that Mick is the only one who hasn't had a leg yet.
The thing is, Mick puts more multis on than anyone, and the bloke just cannot hit them. He's having to put a second mortgage on his house. It's getting bad.
Better return some of the kids, I think, if he wants to keep going. Yeah, look, boys, I don't know. Do we give one last crack? And if it doesn't hit next week, if it doesn't hit, that's it.
Which game do we want to go next week?
Oh, I can't even.
I feel like Thursday nights are always good.
Thursday nights? You want to do the Hawks Carlton?
Hawks Carlton, yeah.
You happy with that, Padgie?
I'm not sure I want to put any money on freaking Carlton. Like, I honestly, Patrick Cripps just not even having I honestly can't believe that. I've seen him kick 3 goals against us in a round 1 game before.
All right, let's go Collingwood Bulldogs then.
Sounds good to me.
All right, Collingwood Bulldogs it is. We'll see. Look, last chance, boys. So make sure you're prepared. As we look to wrap up, underrated player or underrated play of the week. Do you boys have anything? Any notable mentions? Anyone you want to shout out? Flinny, I might throw to you first.
Mate, so there was a lot of players that I thought were underrated, but I've gone down a different track. I've gone for an underrated play. And I know this is going to get Chris a bit excited, so, try and contain yourself. But I'm going the Luke Trainer spoil and smother against Carlton in the last quarter, where he spoilt a man in the goal square, and then Cripps had a shot from the goal square, and it was a certain goal, and he smothered it. And I just thought that was huge from a first gamer, especially a key defender. That was, one of the most impressive plays from the weekend for me.
Padgy, you agree?
Look, I just think, the back line, it's very much you've got kids and you've got wisdom at Richmond at the moment. So you've got you got Broad, you've got Short, you've got Loston all playing. And I think that they are very wise. They are very wise. And I think the thing is that it's just going to be we're gonna really have to rely heavily on some of these kids to just stand up in the moments. And one of the things that was really surprising, and I think I might have even mentioned this to you before, Flynn, is that it's interesting seeing defenders taking players on, like actually like having that not just the confidence, but also having the calmness to actually get the ball and go, I shouldn't bomb this long because it's just going to come straight back in. So they're actually getting the ball, sidestepping someone, and then going for a handball or even drawing a tackle.
Yeah.
So it was just, Trainer was one of the ones that, him, Trezise, a few other boys just was so impressive in terms of how young they are, but how much of an influence they had. Because Carlton were coming hard in the last quarter. They were actually peppering the back line. So...
Nice one, Padgy. Let's go to your underrated player or player of the week.
Look, he's not underrated at all at this point, but I just wanted to give a mention because they lost. So he won't get his just desserts, but I think that Zeri just needs to get a mention. We all know that he's become one of the best tacklers in the game. He got 7 on the weekend, but he also got 51 hit outs. And he was also around the ground, got a lot of the ball, got his usual tackles, got clearances. He's trying so hard for that team, and I just think that he's just like the influence he's having is huge. But when you don't win, it ends up being that you just kind of get overlooked. So I think it's important just to mention a guy like that probably isn't going to win a Brownlow, but he's having a huge season and continued from last year.
Yeah, Max Gawn had a huge game in a loss as well today. So it'll be interesting. I don't know if you boys watch both of them or not, but who do you think might be leaning towards All Australian ruck at the moment between those two after one game? Too early to tell.
I think Zeri will Zeri will get him. I think he's just he's doing a lot, and I just think that he's probably going to see the season out. So
is Max Gawn your underrated player, Jamie?
No, he's not. He's not. My underrated player.
7-time All Australian or whatever he is.
Look, I'll head to mine now because we know Geelong's the best at bringing out the best in their young talent and developing them under the radar before they hit the ground running. But mine is Mitch Nevitt. Yeah. 21 disposals, 11 tackles. They've just found themselves another midfield gem. He was battling away in the VFL with great numbers last year. I was kind of surprised he didn't get a few more runs last year. But, exceptional. He looks like an absolute steal, especially to tandem up now with Bailey Smith. And honourable mention to Seth Campbell. It's not really a play. Oh, it is a play, but that last goal on the goal line, we've all seen it a million times, but the somersault after, I'm all for celebrations. Give me more of them. Give me more Seth Campbell.
Just the stare down as well. Like, just giving the Carlton fans just the death stare before he did it.
All right, Padgy, send us home. This is your segment, and it's still under review. So you take it away. Tell us what you're giving us.
This one might be the last one ever. If it goes last week.
I think I've come up with a name for it too.
Okay.
It's gonna be called Can It Work?
Can it work? All right.
Yeah. So
what a brilliant name.
Do we have to chant it like turn it up?
Can it work? Yeah. All right. So what we're going to discuss this week, I did take something from the motorsports last week. So this week we're going to discuss a couple of rules in basketball that I don't mind that we could maybe apply to the AFL. So what do we think about bringing in like an and one rule for the AFL? So you get shoved as you're having a shot at goal. You get to go and have a shot from the edge of the goal square. And you get 3 points if you kick it.
Wait, what? So is it that like a player's going to kick a goal, they kick the goal and they're shoved while they're kicking it? Is that basically
it? Yeah. If you're infringed as you have a shot at goal, instead of giving you another shot at goal, because we hate seeing the double goals, they're useless. But what about if you get another set shot at goal, but so then you'll have guys that are trying to, maybe they risk the 3 points. Just they risk giving away the free kick for the 3 points.
Mate, this one might be worse than last week's.
The question is, can it work?
Where are they taking the shot from? Where are they taking the shot from?
We can have a discussion about that. There was that. Do you remember there was that circle that was 35 meters or 25 meters out? It was like the interchange infringement dot that they used to have. Bring back.
What I thought you were going to say.
What about if it was just a snap?
A snap. What I thought you were going to say, Chris, was, which I think would make more sense, is if you have a shot at goal and they give away a free kick and your shot goes through for a point, that point counts, but you still get to have your shot for a goal.
You know what? I like that better. I like that better.
See, this is why I need to bring these topics up, because I think that could even be better. Or maybe it's not better. Yeah. Yeah, but if you have a shot at goal, here's the question: if you have a shot at goal, so you've kicked the point, and then you kick a second point, do you get either point, or do you just get the one?
No, you
just get
both.
The 1 point.
You get both.
You get both.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know what though? When you said basketball, I thought you were going to go down the 9-point super goal route, which from outside the arc.
No. Don't worry. There's many more things from basketball that will be brought up in the future. So just don't steal topic ideas for the future.
All right. I think that's a good way to wrap the episode up. Big thank you to you boys for your time as always. Round 2 on the horizon. Look, we'll see. We'll give this multi thing one more chance. And if it doesn't hit, it's lights out, boys. So bring your A games. For the week. Good luck to your teams. Padgy, you guys have got Port. Flinny, you've got the Bulldogs at the MCG. And it's a Bulldogs home game.
Yeah, we love to see those things.
Classic.
That's shaping up as a great game.
And my boys have got Carlton on Thursday night, so we'll see maybe another upset for Thursday nights. But thank you guys for tuning in. If you've stayed with us this long. Please subscribe, shoot us some comments, show us some love if you like what we're doing. But we'll be back next week with some more content. So big thank you. Thank you to Flynn. Thank you to Padge. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks, boys.